It is a new week. We'd like to welcome you, of course, who's joining us from any part of the world this morning to Breakfast Central here on News Central Television. Thank you for starting up your Monday with us. And of course, for the next 2 hours, we have the biggest conversations happening here in Nigeria and in maybe other parts of the continent to share with you. I am Osaugi Ogbawa and welcoming Olive back.
I was waiting for you to actually welcome me, and I'm proud that you did. Thank you for welcoming me back. I'm very excited to be back. Thank you very much for joining us and for ensuring that the fort is being held down here. Unfortunately, I haven't come back to very pleasant news. It's been bad news upon bad news we've seen happening here in Nigeria. We're going to be looking at some of the top stories with the kidnaps and the killings that are happening and the double results that has emerged from Edo State gubernatorial primaries. We're looking into that shortly. We have Dashan Usman. Good morning, Dashan. Thank you for joining us as always, and it's good to see you.
Good morning, Oliver. Thank you for joining us. Welcome back, by the way. How was your holiday?
It was everything I wanted and then some more. I think holidays are motivation to work. So I've come back to work with rejuvenated energy, excited knowing that whatever work I'm doing now, I'm planning towards my next holiday.
Well, that's the whole idea. Osauge, good morning, sir.
Good morning to you too.
It's nice to have you.
It's been a very interesting weekend. Is there any stories that caught your attention over the weekend?
Let's start with the Edo State primaries. So much confusion in one party, a party that's actually supposed to be united. I remember when I spoke to Bernard just before the primary actually started, he actually talked about how expectant the Edo State indigents were, what they were looking forward to and what they want the governor, subsequently to actually do to improve the state and everything. And just to hear that 3 people have actually been declared winner, from different angles, and it's really, really confusing. If this is actually happening during the primary, it is just a primary. It's not even that deep. It's not a big deal. Do you get what happens during the governorship election?
Okay, go ahead.
No, I mean, it could be seen as a big deal, and but of course, it's not very surprising for a lot of people who follow the primaries, of course, who have followed elections in Nigeria for a while. Ex-Senator Shehu Sani mentioned that the primaries birthed twins in the morning and then triplets in the evening.
What exactly was Governor Hope Uzodinma doing there?
Well, I mean, he's the head of the campaign team or campaign delegation for the...
And even Abdullahi Ganduje came out to, congratulate Idahosa. So you have Hope Uzodinma and Ganduje, that's the chairman of the APC, congratulating Idahosa.
And
so what does that mean?
Well, I don't know. I've seen different reactions regarding Hope Uzodinma being involved, in being a part of the campaign. It's quite interesting because many people not too long ago remember what happened with Imo State and all the drama that ensued. Yeah. So I hope that that's not a repeat of what we're going to see in Edo State.
Hello and welcome to Breakfast Headlines. I'm Dashan Usman. The news begins in West Africa as we pick up on security issues. Now, bandits launched a brutal assault on Gindindute Makiali, located in the Kufana district of Kajuru local government area in Kaduna State, in a horrifying escalation of violence resulting in the loss of at least 12 lives in the early hours of Sunday. Eyewitness accounts revealed that the assailants, numbering in large groups, descended upon the community around 5 a.m., unleashing a rain of terror by indiscriminately firing shots and setting ablaze no fewer than 17 houses. The harrowing attack, which endured for several hours without any sign of security intervention, comes in the aftermath of similar atrocities perpetrated in Igabi and Kauru local government areas on Friday night. Now, in the prior assaults, bandits targeted the communities of Gwada and Kasam in Igabi, as well as other areas in Kauru, claiming 9 lives, injuring 7 and abducting scores of individuals, including a retired Central Bank of Nigerian director and his spouse. 2 persons have been killed in a heinous attack on a pub in the Pangshing local government area of Plateau State, Nigeria's north central. Now, reports indicate that among the victims of the senseless violence was a Sylvanus Namang, the publicity secretary of the All Progressives Congress in the state. An official of the party who spoke anonymously confirmed Namang's untimely demise, revealing chilling details of the incident. He noted that Namang was killed when armed assailants unleashed a barrage of gunfire at an eatery in Pangshing where he had gone for a burial on Saturday. The sudden loss of Namang has sent shockwaves through the political community, prompting calls for swift justice from security forces. Delta State Polytechnic in Ogwashiuku, in Nyocha South Council area of the oil-rich Niger Delta State, has been shut down for 1 week following the incessant attacks on students' hostels in parts of the community by hoodlums. Director of the institution, Professor Emmanuel Achuenu, announced the closure at the weekend for the safety of students as they're expected to resume academic activities on Monday, February 26. However, the State Police Commissioner, Abaniwanda Olufemi, had summoned the area commander and the divisional police officer in Ogwashi over the matter, adding that the institution was closed because of possible protest by students. The police boss said security had been beefed up in the Polytechnic town, stating that the force is entirely on top of the situation. Now, in a bid to stem the tide of illegal forex trading and the abuse of the Nigerian naira, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has taken decisive action, establishing a dedicated task force. This move comes amidst growing concerns over the persistent depreciation of the naira against the dollar, with recent data from the Financial Market Infrastructure Group revealing a decline to 1,537 naira 96 kobo per US dollar on Friday from 1,498 naira 25 kobo on Thursday. The EFCC's crackdown on illegal forex activities is not unprecedented, with past arrests and operations targeting individuals involved in illicit trading and the abuse of the national currency. Militia fighters killed 15 people in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo's troubled Ituri province, local sources said on Sunday, in the second such attack in less than a week. Now, reports allege that Codeco militia, which claims to defend the interest of the Lendu group, again targeted victims from the rival Hema tribe. Codeco fighters ambushed users of a road near the village of Tali, where they stopped 15 people, including one woman, on Saturday afternoon, said Jules Suba, leader of Jugu Territory Civil Society. The militiamen are said to have tied them up and undressed them before killing them. Some victims had their throats cut, others were shot dead. Well, that was a really sad story there, but that's all on breakfast headlines. Now it's back to Osauge and Olive. Olive, welcome back once again.
I really stayed so long.
Say Joe.
Wow, that's a thank you so much, Dashin, for bringing us the news.
Yep.
There's sad stories there, really, really sad stories with the killings, with what's happening in DR Congo. But I think for me, I wanted to focus on EFCC tasking, agencies to stop illegal forex trading. So in December, they had done a number of arrests of these so-called illegal, traders. But some would argue that Nigerians need these forex. Nigerian businesses need these forex to be able to trade with. So if they can't lay their hands on forex from the banks and from the necessary agencies, what exactly are they meant to do?
Yeah, well, these are, very, very important questions, but I'm sure that the Nigerian government will be able to maybe fine-tune the process. Hopefully, I hope that they understand what they're doing. Dashin, we'll see you again at 9.
Thank you so
Thanks
much,
for
guys.
stopping by.
Yes, have a wonderful show.
You're welcome. And very important question, with the seeming confusion with current Nigeria's economic...
Yeah, because if I'm traveling and I need dollars, I went to my bank when I was going on holiday. My bank wasn't giving me dollars. They said they don't have access to dollars. So you need money to be able to transact with when you're out of the country. Where are you supposed to get money from? For those who have to travel for school reasons, those who have to travel for medical reasons, how are they supposed to get money? If this so-called illegal forex traders are in there, many people will not be able to get their hands on dollars. Some of them, that's how they run their businesses. That's how their businesses are still able to thrive.
Yeah, well, I'm guessing the CBN, would figure these things out.
Really?
I can't answer for them, and I also can't speak on, authoritatively on the forex market. I wanted to just quickly comment on the DR Congo situation, and just talk about how really, really sad it is that we're doing these to ourselves, as Africans. You would almost never hear these type of stories anywhere else in the world. It's really only here on the continent that you hear that militiamen or bandits or, whichever, new groups every 2 weeks is carrying out these atrocities on their own citizens, on their own fellow brothers and sisters. I don't know that I've heard any this type of stories, happening anywhere else in the world, except in places where there's actual war, of course, in Gaza. But aside, those places, why are we doing this to ourselves? Who is arming these groups? What do they gain from the chaos
and what
and
is their
insecurity
underlying
that they
agenda?
causing? Exactly.
Because back in
DR
the day,
Congo.
when we heard about a number of these terrorist groups and these bandits, back in the day, when Boko Haram was in vogue, it was really a fight against Western education.
That's what was said.
What was said.
Yeah.
But obviously, it's more than that. So right now, we really don't know exactly what they want. We just feel like every other day they wake up and want to make the country ungovernable.
Yeah.
And we've lost our humanity, and that's quite scary. When we've gotten to a point where killing is now normal, it's now the norm of the day. And even individuals and citizens who aren't being affected have become very desensitized to it because it happens every other day. It's like, hey, yeah, they've killed again.
Yeah, but it's very true. I'm just, one thing that I know is whatever it is that the story is behind these things is most times a lie. There's always some underlying reason why these things are happening. A lot of times it's money, it's politics, it's
political,
resources, some of all of that. When they give it that religious, tag, a lot of times it's a lie. But I'm just heartbroken because nobody is doing this to us. We're the ones doing this to ourselves. Those in Congo killing, the people in the DR Congo, they're very likely from the DR Congo. It's just heartbreaking. We'll take a short break. Hopefully there's brighter stories in our conversations this morning. Welcome once again to Breakfast Central on a Monday morning. We'll be back after this break. Welcome back. 2 persons have been killed in a heinous attack in a pub in the Pangshin local government area of Plateau State, Nigeria's north central. According to reports, among the victims of this senseless violence is the publicity secretary of the All Progressives Congress in the state, Sylvanus Namang. An official of the party who spoke confirmed Namang's untimely demise, saying that he was killed when armed assailants unleashed a barrage of gunfire at an eatery in Pangshin, where he had gone for a burial on Saturday.
The sudden loss of Namang had sent shockwaves through the political community, prompting calls for swift justice from security forces. Yusuf Gadi, a member of the House of Representatives for Pangshin, Kanam, Kanke Federal Constituency of Plateau, said he expects security agencies to apprehend the perpetrators and bring them to justice. The North Central state has witnessed an uptick in violent attacks by armed men in recent months, and it's a very unfortunate incident. I was reading one of the accounts. On one of the accounts, it was said that someone had said that he had gone for a burial or something and then decided to go to a store to buy something. And in the course of doing that, the armed forces attacked. It just feels like the people of Plateau State haven't gotten a break. It's been like back to back, back to back. Plateau State, Kaduna State, they haven't really had a break. It's almost like they go to bed every day not knowing if they're going to wake up in their own homes, if they're going to wake up at all, not knowing if they're going to be burnt in their sleep. And it just feels like everything keeps getting worse. I can imagine what it would feel like to be a Nigerian citizen living in these parts of the community, not knowing exactly if the government feels the plight of the people. It's not about paying lip service and saying, oh, we will bring perpetrators to justice. How many perpetrators have been brought to justice? Let's go back as far as, the 24th of December attacks. Can we categorically say that we have gotten to the root of those attacks, that we know for sure? Yes, there have been people that have been suspects that have been paraded. Can we categorically say that we know for sure? It's almost 2 months. Yeah. We know for sure who carried out these attacks. So with every attack that happens, the citizens will keep losing trust in the government's ability to protect them.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's, I like the fact that you've made it a citizens' issue because people were killed. The main reason that this has made the news on this level is because it's the APC spokesman. But this could have been anybody. If this was the death of any random citizen in Plateau State or indigenous of Plateau State, it should, raise eyebrows as much, as it is, currently doing.
Yes.
Unfortunately, of course, this, is a seemingly popular person, it's a political figure, the spokesperson of the party, but people were killed. And this, is another reminder that the fight against insecurity doesn't seem to have done very, very well, or it's not seeming to have done very, very well. It's a reminder of the importance, of state police, at some point, or at least localizing the state security architecture, so that it's easier for these things to be arrested and for these people to be tracked and to be found.
But is the government listening at all? You see this conversation about state policing. We've said it at least one. We've had guests who have talked about it at least 1 million times on this show.
Yeah,
but are they really listening?
It would require some level of a constitutional
amendment. Exactly.
One.
So why are we not taking steps towards doing that?
But even because I remember last week, there were conversations about the Nigerian governors meeting with the president to discuss, the details on state policing. So even if you don't want to get to the level of constitutional, amendment, there's other ways that this could be done. That's why there's the
Amotekun
and of course Ibubeagu, the civilian JTF. But how many states are then going to be willing to say, okay, let's now create our own security force in the state? How can they arm these ones? What kind of arms are they going to be able to give them to battle the type of criminals that we're talking about here? What level of control would be needed? What level of amendment to the laws in the state judiciary, in the state House of Assembly would be needed to ensure that these things work well? It's a long process. It could be quickened, but it's a long process. What's important to state here is that these are clear signs that security in Nigeria is still failing to address these attacks, failing to secure lives and property, failing to protect the average Nigerian citizen, from these attacks. And when these things happen, because there is no assurance that the people who carry these atrocities out will be found, it just leaves everyone in limbo. And unfortunately, once again, it's a APC spokesperson for the state, but for me, it is a Nigerian life that has been taken.
Exactly, the Nigerian life, regardless of how important the person is.
It's a Nigerian life that has been taken.
It's a sad thing.
It could be any random, indigene in Plateau State that probably wouldn't even make the news. And of course, we have a story in Kaduna State where it says about 15 people were killed. That has made the news maybe because of their numbers, for one reason or the other. But these are also Nigerian lives, and we need to continue to have conversations and, of course, to remind the government of its failure to protect these Nigerian lives and to give justice to those who, because that's a thing that almost doesn't exist. It almost doesn't exist, the assurance of justice for the lives that have been taken. How many dozens, and hundreds of lives have been taken that till date the Nigerian government cannot beat its chest to say that we, of course, find justice for the victims of these attacks? How many families are mourning or have mourned and have given up? After mourning for years, they've given up on the possibility that they will get justice.
So this now comes back to an argument that we've had some months back, where I said that a number of Nigerians who are seeking to move abroad are now not necessarily moving abroad because they need another passport, but they're moving abroad because they want to be able to guarantee safety, to be able to guarantee that they have the minimum requirements that any citizen should ask for. They want to be able to know that they can go to their houses and come back without some random masked unknown gunmen attacking their boss, hijacking and kidnapping everybody and asking for ransom. They want to be able to understand there will be light. I mean, Nigeria right now, I don't understand what the light situation is saying. Almost every community, local government area is complaining about, no light. Everybody doesn't have light. We don't have power. It's terrible. So people just want to be able to afford a decent life. Many people are not asking to be stinkingly rich or wealthy. They just want to be able to afford the basics, the basic necessities. Let me know that, okay, if I'm working, I'm seeing what my money is doing. Yes, they are taxing me, but I'm seeing what the tax is doing. When I go to the hospital, I'm assured of the quality of healthcare I'm getting. When I go home, I will be sure that there's light. Yeah. That my children are not going to grow up hearing up NEPA like we did and like our parents did. Yeah. So it's just the basics. The responsibility of any government is guaranteeing the safety and security of its citizens. And any government that cannot do that should question its reason for being in office. A reasonable government that has shame, by now, people will have resigned. With the way the state of insecurity has, taken a total downfall, people should have resigned by now. People in other countries have resigned for less.
I agree, but that would be in a place where
they have shame. Well, shame is a currency.
I mean, yeah, there's shame, and then also in a place where there's actual value to the life of a citizen. And then a place where also the democratic tenets in those places actually exist. People can actually make demands of government. People can sack those who are in office.
When they say that the citizen, in places where the phrase "the office of the citizen is the highest office of the land" is actually a statement that holds water. It doesn't really hold water here.
But also in places where people make a commitment to serve and hold that commitment, or at least honor that commitment. And when they realize that they're not serving, they, of course,
step
are
down.
willing to move away. Let's also not forget to mention the Chief Security Officer of the state, which is Governor Caleb Mutfwang of Plateau State. He also, of course, has some form of responsibility over, in all of this. Any security challenges happening in Plateau State that he's also not able to, have some control of, it's also his failure, regardless of what the story is. He's
Regardless of whose
of the state.
responsibility security of the nation is.
Yeah.
Right now, he can put, like you've mentioned, there are baby steps and baby measures that can be implemented to guarantee their safety and security. But then,
well, all right, we'll take a short break. When we come back, we continue on Breakfast Central this morning. The phone lines, remember, will be open at some point. You can be a part of the conversation. If you're from Plateau State this morning, it's okay that you join us. Share your thoughts with us on these stories and let's know what the security situation is like in Plateau State. We'll be back. As to talk insecurity issues, 11 people have lost their lives following an attack by bandits in Gidinduse Mayali village of Kufana district, Kajuru local government area of Kaduna State. Residents of the community were said to be asleep when the invaders launched an attack in the early hours of yesterday, burning houses and shooting sporadically. The spokesperson of the Kaduna Police Command, Mansur Hassan, while confirming the incident, said 9 people died during the attack, while 2 died later at the hospital, while 12 houses were set on fire.
Kaduna Governor Ubasani has condemned the attack, adding that the government is working with security agencies and other critical stakeholders to mitigate security challenges across the state. According to the Commissioner of Internal Security and Home Affairs, Samuel Aruwan, the governor has directed the State Emergency Management Agency, SEMA, to assist the victims. Of course, this is a developing story, and as we proceed, we'll be bringing more updates. But again, a reminder of the conversation we had earlier about the fact that the fight against insecurity in Nigeria, we're still a very, very long way from where we should be. People are still, lives are still being lost in Kaduna. Some have referred to what's going on in Kaduna and Plateau as ethnic cleansing. There's been lots of different interpretations of the killings. But one thing is certain, the lives of Nigerians are being lost. And the government shouldn't take it lightly.
Yeah, it makes you really just wonder, how many more will be taken, how many more lives will be lost, to these very senseless killings, these very gruesome and senseless killings. How many more will need to be lost before the Nigerian government then says to itself, okay, enough is enough? And it's not, I don't want to, paint a picture to make it seem like they're not giving their best or doing their all, but that's what it seems like. And again, how many more will need to be taken before the government then says enough really is enough, and we need to absolutely sit up, and protect the Nigerian life? Because if we live in a society where we can read these stories and hear that 11 people were murdered, 12, 15, 72, 9, doesn't matter what the number is, by people that we still cannot name or identify. We just randomly call them bandits, but they're not stealing anything. We've called them bandits. I mean, we got so lazy with accountability that we called people unknown gunmen.
Because that's an easier way to generalize these criminals.
Do you understand the complete lack of accountability to the Nigerian people who voted you into office, that you call people who have murdered dozens and hundreds of innocent Nigerian citizens, including security officers, unknown gunmen? There was never a time that the Nigerian government decided that or accepted that it was their responsibility to figure out who these people are, find them, arrest them, prosecute them. We accepted that unknown gunmen were killing dozens of Nigerians in different parts of the country. That level of lack of complete self-awareness and lack of accountability to the Nigerian people, that's where we are. And so that's what I'm asking. How many more will need to go before we then say enough is enough as a government?
And you know what even scares me is how many have even gone underreported?
Yeah.
Because we have a challenge with data collation and data collection in Nigeria, because even with the way that we report these stories, and I'm saying we, including media, but media would work with the information that it has. So we report it in numbers. 15 people killed, 2 people killed, 20 people killed. We don't report according, you would hardly see where we're saying, oh, this person and that person. We don't attach names to them. You know, we don't have enough data to be able to say, okay, this person from this local government was killed, this person from this family was killed. They're just all numbers now. That's what it is. And, you know, it's just back to what you said, a reflection of the laziness that we as a people have. You know, the laziness that our law enforcement agents, our security agencies have come to accept.
Laziness and mostly lack of, you know, accountability to the people. You know, because nobody believes that they will be fired. Nobody's job is threatened when 15 people die and you do not, you know, catch, you know, the killers. Nobody's job is threatened when, nobody's job is threatened when, you know, 100 people are bombed, you know, by the Nigerian Air Force when they make a mistake. You know, they misfire, they made a mistake. You know, hey, sorry. Oh, we're shy, we made a mistake. Nobody's job or position is threatened. And that's really the main reason, because the Nigerian life has not held that much value over time. And so when it's taken, it doesn't feel like the country has lost anything. And these are actual human beings that have had dreams and aspirations and goals and have paid their taxes. And the taxes, of course, you know, that are meant to also protect them and pay the police officers to protect them. So because there's zero, you know, accountability from the government, you'll find these things happen, and you don't hear that the governor is, you know, really bothered.
Broken.
It's not broken. The commissioner of police is not broken. The president is not broken. You know, there's nobody who seems to actually care that these lives have been taken. And that's, you know, I feel is the foundation, you know, for these conversations, you know, and that's the reason we can read these stories and move on to the next story, which might be talking about agriculture or electricity or something else, just a random. Because 5 minutes ago, we cared partially that 15 people were killed gruesomely in Kaduna State. 5 minutes later, we've moved on. Because the Nigerian government, the people who are in office, who are going and running through hundreds of billions of naira every year in government funds, do not care. Like, the governor is not going to be bothered. You know, he's not going to be told by the people of Kaduna State or anywhere else that he has failed to protect the people of Kaduna State and he doesn't deserve to sit one more day in government house.
No, there's not.
Neither will the president, neither will the inspector general of police, neither will, you know, anybody who's National Assembly, who's representing these areas where these people have died. Nobody will be told.
Actions and consequences. So it's just like you've said, there aren't consequences for actions. What really bothers me is the fact that if we look at other countries, other more developed countries, people have been sacked and people have resigned for less. You know, you don't have to lose the lives of hundreds of your citizens for you to know that you have failed in your capacity to protect, you know, to be able to protect the citizens. And if you can't protect the citizens, what are you doing there? Your responsibility is to protect them from external aggression and also, in this case, internal aggression. But, you know, you've not been able to do that. This morning, we're joined by Comrade Samuel Tabara. He is joining us from Kaduna State. He's in charge of the Kaduna People's Union. Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning.
Yeah, you're the president of the Southern Kaduna People's Union. I think the first thing is to commiserate with you and with the people of Kaduna State for this incessant, you know, losses that we're seeing. So I think the first question would be exactly what is going on? You know, what is the update that we have regarding these senseless killings? Are we making any headway with regards the insecurity challenges in Southern Kaduna?
Well, like we all know, these attacks are persistent. And one thing that stands out clearly about the aim of the attackers is to displace the people of their homes, dispossess them of their lands. And for me, I do not believe that government and security agencies of this country don't know whom these attackers are or they are lacking the wherewithal to identify them. I do not believe. I don't believe. You know, and the way we are going, these attacks will never stop until the people stand up in self-defense against these attackers. I do not see how these things are going to stop. And if we as Kaduna State indigenous and other Nigerians being bedeviled by the spate of these attacks are expecting that one day government will say, get up, defend yourself, you are wasting your time. If you are waiting to say somebody will provide for you the wherewithal to defend yourself, you are wasting your time. We will all die miserable death. We must devise means of defending ourselves. These people are within us. They go about procuring arms and ammunition all over places. And our armories, are they being audited? Because you cannot rule out that their arms and weapons, some of them are even from government armories. You cannot rule that one out. So we need a comprehensive audit of the movement of arms and ammunition out of our own armories, first and foremost. Let us know what is happening within the security agencies.
So are you saying that there is a likelihood that the government
do not have the wherewithal to identify who are these attackers?
Yeah. Kindly hold on. Are you saying that the Nigerian government and security agencies are complicit in these killings? Is that what your analysis is showing you? Can you hear us clearly this morning?
Oh, it seems we're struggling a bit with the connection. We're still having a conversation this morning with the president of the Southern Cardinal People's Union, Comrade Samuel Tabara. We're hoping that we can reconnect with him as the internet is a bit shaky. But yes, he's expressed great displeasure as to what exactly is happening and inferring that the government is not unaware of the people who are doing this.
It's not possible. He's not the only one who feels this way. He's also not the first person who's made a statement like this. Even far back many years ago, what's his name now? Danjuma, Theophilus Danjuma, made that very, very popular statement now that they collude. But over time, we've heard this thing, from many people who live in Southern Kaduna, who live in the Middle Belt region, who have been victims of these attacks, that there's almost no way you would, beat your chest and say that the government is not aware of where these people are or how these killings have occurred or, how these, there's some information that they're definitely aware of. And I've said it, before that, the Nigerian government also cannot tell the Nigerian people
that if
you err against the government today, they would find you in 2 days.
What is 2 days?
But let's give them 2 days. But they don't know where these bandits are. Maybe if you want to call them bandits. Comrade Tabara, can you hear us? Comrade Samuel Tabara, can you hear us?
Can you say again?
Yeah, I'm asking you to clarify. From your statements, it seems like you're saying that the Nigerian government is complicit in these attacks. Can you clarify?
No two ways about it. No two ways. I strongly believe that the Nigerian government is complicit. No two ways about it.
And like you've said, these aren't, killings that, these are not religious attacks. Is there any understanding as to why these things happen? Is this ethnic cleansing? Is it, a land grabbing issue? Are these religious attacks? Or are these, people who are, stealing and robbing the people there?
Yes, this is land grabbing. Systematically planned and meticulously executed land grabbing. It is not about religion. It is not about any particular ethnic group. This is about land grabbing. It is not just about Southern Kaduna alone. It is across this country. Some people somewhere sat somewhere and believe that they will chase natives out of their land and they take over. That's what is happening. That is what is happening. Let nobody pretend about it. This is what is happening.
Okay. I think another angle I'd like us to look at is you've talked about the people standing up to protect themselves, as the government is not looking like they're doing that. And when you say the people standing up to protect themselves, what do you mean? And what's your take on the conversation about state policing that has been going on for the longest time and states sort of providing their own security?
Yes, until state police is allowed, every local government to have their own police. In the meantime, Nigerians should defend themselves. And the first place I will ask, how are these people getting their weapons? So we also should look in what? The way they are getting their weapons, we also go and get it. I mean, that's how it is.
Yeah.
But Nigerians, we must defend ourselves. We must defend ourselves. Otherwise, we shall die. We shall all die by installment.
Yeah.
The state police, yes, that's will really to a far reasonable extent solve the problem. But in the meantime, when is the state police coming?
Right.
When is the Nigerian police coming?
And
We need not just, we need even local government police.
These are very critical questions that are being asked by you. Unfortunately, we don't have the answers. And we hope that the government gives us the answers that we demand, that we require as soon as possible. Comrade Samuel Tabara, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
And thoughts and prayers are with the people of Southern Kaduna.
Yeah,
Every morning on the show, just as we've asked in this last conversation, we ask questions to hold government, our leaders responsible and accountable to providing good governance in our country. This morning on Which Way Nigeria, we're saying that Nigerians deserve better.
Just getting off the conversation, from the happenings in Southern Kaduna, the really, really sad incident in Southern Kaduna where, of course, Nigerians have once again been murdered. And, it makes me want to ask, doesn't Nigeria just want to make you cry? Doesn't it just break your heart to pieces? Like, just look at us. Look at the lives that we're living. We're waking up every day to, just fight our hardest so that we can make ends meet. And no matter how hard you fight, it seems like the battle just gets harder every single day and every single week. Rent is getting higher. Foodstuff is more expensive. Healthcare, school fees, transportation, everything. And yet, to majority of the people, the salary is still the same. In fact, your salary at this point has lost 70% of its value. But still, you're fighting. Young men and women are walking the streets unemployed. They're not sure of their next meal. Just look around you, and I see this almost every day. Everyone is like a walking zombie, just dragging themselves through each passing day. No matter how hard we try to hide it or mask it, that's exactly how we are as Nigerians. Just walking every single day trying to figure things out to survive on different levels. Transport to and from work, now takes about 50%, even if not more. For those who earn maybe about 40 to 50,000 naira salary, the transportation probably takes everything. So you now have to figure out how to adjust, your number of meals per day and still figure out how to save for rent. Send money back home to your aging parents, whose, of course, pensions are currently meaningless. That's the reality for many Nigerians. Young men are getting into different ventures, different types, sometimes even illegal, just to be able to stay afloat and survive. Young women, of course, tempted to give their bodies out to the highest bidder, mostly because that salary is just not enough. That's the reality of many, many Nigerians. The parents, of course, are dealing with insane cost of living. Imagine what it feels like taking care of their families today. For those parents who have 3 kids that you must feed, clothe, you must send them to school, you must take to the hospital, rent must be paid, even as landlords double their rent figures in many parts of the country. Foodstuff prices are beyond comprehension. Electricity bills, cooking gas, everything just seems to be piling on you every single day. And again, we act like we are well, but to a large extent, many, many Nigerians they're going through the worst times of their lives. It's extremely difficult for the average Nigerian. It's harder than can be explained. Yet while you're battling all these problems, you, of course, would hear once again that petrol scarcity might be coming. Electricity supply has dropped to maybe about 3-4 hours a day, so you then have to adjust your generators and adjust to the really, really hot weather across Nigeria. And it's not just the young Nigerians. The older generation aren't left out. Pensions, for those, of course, who are even lucky to get their pensions, are mostly insignificant with the current economic conditions. Their parents who are in their 70s, maybe even older than that are still having to support their 30, 40-year-old children because they just can't let them go yet. The Nigeria that they live in has not been able to give them an opportunity to be self-sufficient. These 70-year-old pensioners can't afford their own medications as they age. Nigeria has failed us, and of course failed us woefully. But Nigerians don't deserve this, regardless of what the argument is. This very great nation and its citizens deserve so much better. Because what are Nigerians really, really asking for? I mean, just take a look at the living standards in other countries. Countries that don't even have half the wealth and resources as Nigeria has. Look at their living standards and compare them to what we currently are dealing with every single day. We can't boast of things as basic as clean running water across the country. A great nation that can't give its citizens 24 hours electricity. A country that if you collapse on the road right now, you can't call an ambulance. In times of medical emergencies, you can't. Nope. Ask your neighbor what the number for the ambulance is. Nobody knows because there's nothing like that. A country that takes and takes and takes from you and gives practically nothing back. So I'm asking this morning, Monday morning, how are you coping? How are you surviving? How much have you had to adjust to current realities, being in Nigeria? I understand, of course, that more and many more would leave Nigeria this year in search of something, somewhere better, to countries that you maybe didn't even hear about 5 years ago, to places that you never imagined that you have to deal with, or you would be, to places where, you would experience racism, loneliness, and, different waves of emotions. You will leave every single thing that you've built here and go start all over again in a different country just to give yourself and your immediate future a fighting chance. And I understand you. I understand why you have to. I understand how desperate it has become for you. And I wish that I could encourage you to stay back here and say, let's all fight for a better country. But nobody in their 30s or 40s right now has 8 years left in them to try again. And I totally understand it. And I would like to say that I genuinely wish you well. Good morning, Nigerians.
Thank you for joining us on Breakfast Central. As is our custom, we share what the front pages of the papers are saying. And joining us this morning to look at what the stories are saying and to help us analyze them properly is Public Affairs Analyst Demi Saka. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Nice to be here.
It's good to have you.
Once again.
Yes, okay. I don't know that there is good news, but let's look through the papers and see if there's anything that would actually make us smile. This morning, the first story or the first paper we're looking at is the Punch newspaper. Cost of living protest. Police warn against violence as Labour gives fresh conditions. Avoid violence. Police warn Labour. AFDB says hardship may lead to social unrest in Nigeria and others. Naira weakens as banks' dollar sales plunge by $252 million. Federal government marketers meet today. Tanker drivers insist on strike. I think we did see the memo to that one. Nigeria-Brazil plan new MOU as trade drops by $8 billion. 15 trucks of smuggled foods intercepted in Sokoto by customs. Navy seeks speedy trial of oil thieves. I want us to look at the cost of living process and the police warning against violence as Labour gives fresh conditions. Mr. Saka, do you see that where we are right now might inevitably lead us to an actual protest happening? Because people are hungry. I don't know, I was hearing of the story of a truck that was delivering yam in Lagos market, and people stumbled on the trucks, and of course someone's yam business has been fumbled. So are we not seeing that we are naturally gravitating to a protest?
Yeah, as much as I want to believe and accept that, yes, things are bad and we are tilting towards precipice, we shouldn't justify or rationalize thievery or stealing.
No, it would never ever be.
Yeah, what those guys did was, no matter the guise or what have you, that is pure stealing. And they're lucky that probably the guy that had the consignment is a gentleman, probably was not harmed. At some point, if there's it could have gone out of hand. People should know or learn how to vent or ventilate their frustration, not on a fellow Nigerian like you. It's just into business. And you probably want to ask yourself, such a man, did they insure his goods? You probably want to say no. And how does he get compensated? How do we? So Nigerians, as a people, we should learn or stop being wicked. There was no excuse for what happened, but it's just a reflection of how bad things are. And people, there's a saying in Yoruba land that, and I'll save our audience. He who you teach wickedness and probably execute it, I ask this innate wickedness in him. So it's not because it's the one guy that forced you into stealing. You have you know to be a piffer, and you're a thief. It's just that simple. But things are bad. And there's a connection between national security, national stability, and what is happening. And some of us have been saying this, and I'll still say it here again. I'm not a prophet of doom. I'm not trying to incite the public. I'm not trying to pose a threat to our national security. But if the government of the day doesn't come up with a realistic, a sensible, and a true intervention program, social intervention program as we speak, this country will go up in flames.
When we say things, and I agree with you that we desperately need a social intervention program, but do they even know what social intervention program will work? Because they've tried all sorts, and every day we're hearing one story of corruption or the other. The Humanitarian Affairs Ministry, of course, has been implicated a number of times because of so-called social intervention programs. How much intervention can salvage how much damage has been done to Nigeria's economy? Does the government know what it needs to do to get us out of this mess?
I think the last time we were here, they were begging the opposition to give them ideas. And I think my parting shot that day was I gave them an advice. It's very simple. I think it's time for Mr. President and his team to step down from the high horse and accept that some things have to be done. And I keep saying this, you don't need to go to the National Assembly with a supplementary appropriation bill. You could do a budget environment. And the budget environment, probably the approval of the National Assembly, because we're still paying subsidy. And we're even paying more because there's the rate, obviously the weekend naira makes it higher than what it was before. So what you need to do is with the budget environment, officially announce the introduction of subsidy for a period of time, maybe 3-4 months, for you to now say, okay, fine, for all our refineries to come up working, for us to tidy up, multiple streams of income for the country and what have you, 4 or 5 months. With that, it's even going to have an effect on the exchange rate.
But the challenge the questions with that would be, can we afford it? Because initially,
Are we not affording a form of subsidy now?
yes, we are. But now you've also mentioned that it's even higher. So if we now go back to full payment of subsidy as it used to be before, we're going to be paying maybe 3 times higher than we used to pay before, which they said that Nigeria could no longer afford. So can we then pay 4 times what it used to be before? That's one. And then another thing is, how did they get it so wrong on day one?
No.
Because all of this happened on day one.
You see, I think it was just it was an excitement, just like President Muhammadu Buhari to May 29. I belong to nobody, I belong to everybody, and I said I ordered the relocation of the command and control center of the war on Boko Haram to Maiduguri. I was just laughing and like, who cared? And who cares? That thing was not carried out until like 13, 15 days after. So people are used to making pronouncements who want to sound tough or want to give the direction of, give you an idea of the direction of the administration and policy trust. But we are paying higher because of their pronouncements. They brought this, if I can, choice of words, this mess upon us. They should get us out of it. And with that, you probably, like I said, even if they kind of introduce subsidy now officially, you could bring down the cost of a liter of PMS to like 300, 350 naira per liter, which Nigerians will still jump at.
Yeah.
It will have an effect on the cost of things. And at the end of the day, we still force down the exchange rate.
Yeah.
So force it down. And once the exchange rate is being forced, then we probably get things right.
Yeah, like I said, it's really just to figure out how they got it, so wrong on day one, and of course have then tried to hold on to the, these are really, really great policies, you just need to hold on a little bit and things will be fine.
So how much longer are we going to keep holding on?
That's the thing, so.
No, but the sad thing is, IMF will call me and tell us, we move subsidy on this, we move subsidy on that, and you look at all the countries and what have you, there's a form of subsidy for their people.
Yeah.
So why is it good for their people and it's bad for Nigerians or Africans?
Yeah, it's not. I don't think it's meant to be the IMF's decision. We should individually be able to look at the things that we should subsidize and the things that we should not subsidize amongst ourselves. And that's why there's an economic, management team. That's why there's economic advisors. That's why there's, finance, Minister for Finance. But I don't know. I'm not sure if they know what they're doing. That's why there's 970,000, advisors, senior special advisors, and senior junior special advisors.
And a PA to the SA to the SSA.
Yes, exactly.
But before we go, there's another quick one I would like to touch on. I think we should tell people we are not a communist state. I can decide what I want to do with my produce and business. You can't stop me from.
I agree.
What if I'm producing solely for exportation? I'm not the federal government. You can't intercept. I decide what I want to do with my produce or produce. You cannot. It is wrong. Because federal government doesn't have a food security policy in place, and you want to push it on people, investors. And I said something. I'm an investor. I probably pay royalty for bandits and what have you, not to invade my farm. I've paid compensation to families of workers that have been killed. I've paid ransom to get some people and workers freed, and I don't want to maximize my profitability. It's wrong. I probably want to look at the market that will give me more profit. Because the government has failed me, and you still want to decide where I want to sell my things. It is wrong. It's a free market.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to The Guardian. And just also a reminder of yours this morning, you can call the show at any time. Share your thoughts with us on these stories. If you, of course, are dealing with your own challenges with the economy, you'd like to share with us, or you agree or disagree.
Everybody.
On how the government has handled the economy so far. If you think, that they're doing it right, and we just need to be patient a little bit, share with us this morning. The numbers are on your screen. We'd love to hear from you from any part of the country that you're watching us from. Let's go to the Guardian newspapers and see what we can find over there. It says on your screen there, unstable FX rate and inflation, more pain for households and firms as price gouging unsettles economy. Naira crisis to double prices of meat as manufacturers seek liberalization. Security agents intercept trucks of smuggled, diverted food items at borders. Expedite action against insecurity, inflation, reps tell Tinubu. Catholic bishops for Tinubu's reforms as CBN preaches hope. And also Edo APC primary, Stakeholders fought Uzodinma on declaration of Idahosa as winner. Really dramatic yesterday with the triplets that the primaries gave birth to. Certificate racketeering as an albatross for of education sector. And of course, Tinubu violated oath of office by appointing son-in-law, says Huriwa. Maybe we could start with that. I can't remember the name of the ministry now. Housing, something housing.
FH, Federal Housing Authority.
Exactly. So let's start with that. Is Huriwa, are they correct in what they're saying?
No, I think I'll be careful. Yeah, let me play the devil's advocate. Is Tinubu's son-in-law a Nigerian?
Yes.
Yes. Does he have the requisite qualification and knowledge, skill set to be the MD of FAH? Maybe. Does he, being the son-in-law to the president, exclude him from rendering service to the country? No.
Really? Why so?
No, I'll tell you why. It's because he's a Nigerian. It's because you're my son-in-law doesn't exclude you from serving Nigeria as a country. But when it comes to morality, if you're looking at it from the place under the lens of morality, then you probably will say it is wrong. But the guy's a Nigerian.
Yeah, I mean, so if it's a different case if this person had grown in that space, if you looked at his civil service, history, and this is where he had been all the while growing,
no,
and then eventually got to,
it's an executive appointment.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So
it's not like a career thing.
Isn't that why it's being pointed out? Because if you hear that Joe Biden or Trump back then, and
his
Kushner,
son-in-law,
and there's some appointments that
No, Trump made some appointment that close.
Family members?
Yeah. I think his son-in-law was one.
Yes,
Wasn't it criticized? It was called out multiple times.
Yeah, but he stayed.
So it doesn't matter if it stayed or not. It doesn't make it right.
No, let's say there's no law.
And I agree with you. I agree with you. Because when it was in the case of Minister of Interior, there was a law, right, that said, the fact that you're serving with the federal government means you cannot run business that would benefit from the government. We understand that there was a law. But there's also something as, like you mentioned, there's a moral compass. That when you're in the position of leadership, especially because Nigeria is in such a very sensitive state right now, where people are hungry, people are angry, people are touchy. So what they are going to ask is, so there was nobody in all of Nigeria that had the qualification to be able to take on that responsibility?
You see, it takes us back to when a lot of people were celebrating then as President-elect Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, now President Bola Tinubu. I tell people, I think that is one man, his network across the country is exaggerated. Because if he has the right network, he will probably have this kind of appointment he's saying. Look at the cabinet list. It's tilted to a side, and it's tilted to just one part of that side, Lagos boys. So away from that, but I expected in PR, I would say perception is key.
Yes.
Perception oftentimes might not be the truth, but is seen as the truth, and sometimes could pass for the truth. And I think this is one man that has been telling you that he doesn't give a hoot about perception. He's giving the perception a middle finger. Because if you're accused of nepotism, we can't be jumping from the kind of clannish governance and, presidency former President Muhammadu Buhari gave Nigeria, and now be embracing it in Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But like some of you will say, what were you expecting? APC into APC. It's going to be a clannish arrangement. But it's about the country. They should look beyond that. And if you want to heal the country from, let us move ahead from a disputed election, you should probably be seen to be forming, quote and unquote, a government of national unity that, that has everybody on board. That makes, if that slot has gone to somebody from Northeast, or somebody from Southeast, or somebody from South, I don't think Nigerians will cry. Nobody will cry,
and of course, to add salt to injury, I think it was the next day after he was appointed, there was a news report about 126 billion naira approval for that same ministry. And the day after he was appointed, doesn't look. And a day after that he was appointed again, you probably saw another news in that the former commissioner of health in Lagos State, that has been the commissioner of health. Was commissioner of health in Lagos State for so long, was appointed as the director, as the chairman of NCDC. You ask yourself, why can't we just look beyond Lagos? It's it's given life to those who are crying nepotism, once again, and saying that this seems to be even worse than...
No, but you see, but in fairness, it's only those that criticize Muhammadu Buhari that can criticize Tinubu. I'll cite an instance. Till tomorrow, the Federal Character Commission has not come out with the report of the probe on the lopsided recruitment into the DSS.
Yep.
The Adamawa State had like 30, and the whole of Southeast as a region had 6.
Yep.
That happened under Muhammadu Buhari.
Yep.
Our Borno State had almost 300 whatever into intake, into the regular recruitment.
All right. Hold on. Let's speak with, Felix from Delta. Good morning, Felix.
Hello, good morning.
Morning, welcome. Go ahead.
Yeah, the headline on the Punch, the protest for the rising cost of living, I think it's important that protest happens. But if that protest is going to happen, let us try to avert what happened during the EndSARS, where unscrupulous elements comes in to hijack the process and turn this away from what it is meant to be. It is high time Nigerians take action. We've talked and talked and talked. Government is not doing what they're supposed to do. The president went to the Africa Union Summit and he left off. What does that tell you? He's clueless. So if we don't rise up, if we don't wake up, if we don't take action, we might lose this precious country called Nigeria. We need to get up and we need to be strategic. If there's going to be a protest, which I am totally in support of, let us do it right. And let us ensure that we don't allow it get out of hand where we now start asking ourselves, did we take the right steps before now? We cannot just sit down and talk and talk and talk. It is so obvious, so audible to the blind and so visible to the deaf.
Okay, Felix.
You understand what I said?
Yes, very, very clear. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. And, just to further buttress what you had said earlier, we on this part were not in any way saying that we endorse a protest.
Yeah,
but what we're saying...
It seemed like I was doing protest strategy.
Exactly. So we're not endorsing a protest. However, to mention that protesting is a right of Nigerians as enshrined in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, how it's being done is another issue. Now, he's expressed concern that if the protest is going to happen, we should ensure that what happened at EndSARS doesn't happen, where the unscrupulous elements hijack.
You took that from me, and I want to correct him, and I want people to, because they pushed that narrative out, and we need to puncture it. It's obvious idiocy, we need to point it out to them that we are not all fools. EndSARS was not hijacked by unscrupulous elements. We saw how criminals, touts, thugs, were conveyed in a Lagos State controlled management transportation company. Yeah. Pictures of the guy that lay with cutlass, machete, or what you want to call it, was widely circulated.
Right. Can you hold on? We would have you finish. Good morning, Lola.
Good morning, and how are you?
Very well. Thanks for joining us. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. I want to come from a different perspective entirely. I appreciate the man in glasses. Sorry, I didn't get your name.
Do you hear me?
I want to appeal to Nigerians, right? We seem to always have, just like the last caller Felix said, we seem to always have this talk and protest, and nothing comes out of it. Isn't it high time we looked in a different direction and approach to solving our problems in Nigeria? I remember when I was a very young girl, I think a bag of rice was like, I can't remember how much, 30 naira or so. And my mom would scream, yay, they want to kill us in this country. I think Nigerians need to go back to the drawing board, because I think the number of people who complain today actually don't know the history of this country. Let us go back to the drawing board. Where did we come from? Where are we right now? Just like we say in church, count your blessings, name them one by one. Let us look at where we started from, what has improved, what has worked, what are we grateful for, what are we thankful for? And then we can come back to our leaders and say, we know you have done A, B, C, but we need you to do C, D, E. I think we need to have a different approach rather than allowing ourselves to be used against each other.
So you're saying that you think Nigerians should also try and remember things to be grateful for,
Yes.
seeing the journey that we've been on.
Yes. This is not to say that the present administration is doing the best, but I think we are expecting too much in a short time. In less than, I think we're expecting too much in 6 months, right?
Okay.
Or in less, so I think we're expecting too much in such a short time.
So what would you say is
yeah.
an appropriate time that Nigerians should expect for things to be better? Because quite frankly, I don't think that I remember things being this bad in a long time. So at what point would we then say, okay, this is a decent time for us to have seen the change that we want to see? Hello, Lola, are you there?
Yes, I was waiting for you to land.
Okay, all right. Good. Please go ahead.
Yeah, there is no time frame for it. Right, there is no time frame for it. But I believe that given the situation, we listened to Soludo, former central bank governor. We listened to Emir Sanusi, former central bank governor, saying that the present situation in the country was not created by the present administration. This is the backlog of things that has been happening in the past. So we can't hit the entirety of the issues in Nigeria on the present government. So as Nigerians,
can I respond to that?
Hold on.
Okay, please go ahead.
Yeah. All right. So thank you very much, Lola. Thanks for joining us and for sharing your thoughts with us.
No, first thing, Nigerians don't have the drawing table. It's the political class that has the drawing table, so there's no how we could go back to the drawing table to draw anything. Two, if we want if you want us to have another approach to this, then please give us what is called a transparent election that people can believe in and people have the buy-in. When you tell me that this present administration will rushing them to get results from them, the beauty of it is APC into APC. And we started this tradition of suffering in 2015. And since the government is a continuum, I think it's a furtherance of the suffering the APC has been giving Nigerians since 2015.
Exactly. I don't think it's particularly any separate.
So it's not a 9-month thing. And if you're saying, President, this wasn't brought upon us by this present administration, but this present administration is an enabler of the past administration.
And he was very well aware of what he was coming into.
And he said we should not pity him. And this is what I tell people. You said you were aware of the office or the job or what's at stake. You got into office. It took you 60 days. The last day, as stipulated by the Constitution, was so you could come up with an incomplete ministerial appointment or list. So you look at it shows that you were just a bit better because of constitutional constraint.
Okay.
So it wasn't as if, and when we say we are not expecting too much, we are not demanding too much. We governance. I thank God the guy that kept saying that or make it popular is also in the APC. Governance is not rocket science.
And just to quickly mention that even if we're not, you said we're not expecting too much. A classic example would be, what was the exchange rate at the time this administration came into office? And what do we have now? What was the price of fuel? At the time they came into office, it was 185. We're buying fuel now for how much? What are we saying?
And you see, when people keep making, and we say things and we'll always say things differently. But when people think we should cut the government some slack and what have you, we cannot because it's their job. When destinies of over 100 or 200 million people lies with you, you can't toy with it.
All right, hold our thoughts. Let's look through one more paper. Let's look at the Vanguard newspaper this morning and see what the front page is saying. On the front page of the Vanguard, hardship paralyzing lives nationwide. Catholic bishops and Khan says, they say Nigeria is in our worst of times with insecurity, economic graft, acid hunger causing serious humanitarian crisis. Federal government working to resolve economic challenges and others, says SGF. Just to mention that phone numbers will be projected on the TV screen and you can call in to contribute to any of the topics you've seen or any of the stories on the front page. Power grid drops to 3,530 megawatts as rationing persists nationwide. 12 die as bandits get fire on 17 houses in Kaduna village. They set fire on 17 houses. Food crisis. Face governance. Federal government, APC slam PDP governors. Presidency article at war over federal government's forex policy. At the top of the paper, we have rising cost of living may lead to social unrest in Nigeria, Naira depreciation, inflation, eroding value of insured assets, and final story, Edo 2024, APC gets 3 candidates, Agba threatens legal action. We have Abdul Latif from Abuja joining us. Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us on Breakfast Central. Please go ahead.
Good morning, my sister. How was your weekend today?
Very well, thank you. Thanks for asking. What would you like to contribute?
Thank you very much for your topic. To be sincere, the country is very hard for Nigerians, and we have to look at it.
Abdul Latif, are you still with us?
We shouldn't blame the present administration alone, but we have to look at it from... Yes, I'm there. Can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
We shouldn't blame the present administration. It's not, the problem we are facing does not start now. And it does not start during Buhari administration alone. It has been there for many years, in which many of us, many Nigerians have changed to say the truth. If Nigerians continue to elect leaders based on religion, based on tribalism, and based on money power, then we'll be having bad leaders.
Okay, so if I hear you correctly, Nigeria's problem did not start with this administration, not the previous one, but dates way back.
It's not. It's not. If you look at the issue of dollars that we are talking about, look at when $1, is equal to just about, not even up to 1 naira. So now, gradually it's moving there. Now,
But it was a gradual move, Abdul Latif. You would agree that what has happened in the past 9 months is unprecedented. I mean, what we've seen in the past 9 months is not what Nigerians had hoped for when the new administration was coming in. So yes, I agree with you that over the years, we've seen a depreciation of the currency, but not at the speed of lightning that we saw in the past 9 months. Don't you agree?
Yes, I equally agree with you. But if you have to solve the problem of Nigeria, if you are farmers now, most of the farmers cannot go to the farm and farm and bring their farm products back to the market because of insecurity. Kidnapping everywhere. I have to tell you the truth. Most of the farm products that we are using in Nigeria are coming mostly from the north because
Good.
Landmark.
And valid points that you've raised there. So would you then say that the current state of insecurity, in the manner that we're seeing it, with this brand new, improved unknown gunmen and kidnapping sector, can't we say that it's thriving in this current administration?
Come.
I mean, this is real.
Whose failure?
Exactly, whose failure
Apologies,
is it? The fact
apologies.
that kidnapping has become like a trending business in Nigeria, and the term unknown gunmen have become more popular than before.
Yes, but you see, it's not only kidnapping. Banditry are there. Issue
Yes.
of Boko Haram are there. Boko Haram started since when? Since 2009. It's not this administration that are there. The Boko Haram issues, they are now changed their own formula. Not even Boko Haram, now banditry.
Okay, so
All right,
what do you
we need
suggest
to-
in a few seconds? What's the way out of this?
That are there disrupting the farmers. So we have to look at it, and every one of us have to support the administration to see that they are moving the government forward.
All right.
Moving the nation.
All right, thanks a lot,
All right.
Abdul Latif, for joining us.
I think let me speak it one by one. About probably on the staff.
We're running out of time, so please make it as quick as possible.
Not all Nigerians will support this government. It's not mandatory. So let us get out of the table. Two, I have a close relationship with the defense headquarters or the defense ministry, so I can tell that there are a lot of effort in trying to keep Nigeria safe. But when you look at the economic situation on ground and what is happening, you can't even see what is going on. I know of what they just went to do at the World Defense Show in Saudi Arabia. I know of the procurement that was done in Turkey. And, we could speak, but, that probably will have effects on national security and success on war on terror maybe the next 5-6 months. But when it says we should do that, this predates this administration, it's just people trying to find a soft landing, maybe because of political biases and what have you. But what we had in 2009 was just Boko Haram. It was just conscripted to Northeast and the parts of North Central, Plateau, and Abuja. But now, the whole of Northwest, even to North Central, Southeast, South is not safe. And this whole thing started in 2015.
Yeah.
So you cannot excuse.
Yeah,
You cannot,
I don't know the school of thought, that gives, cuts government, some slack when they're failing. And the 12 people we reported that lost their lives, I think on the Vanguard it says 21. No, sorry, on the Daily Trust it says 21 people killed in Kaduna. How much slack do you think those family members need to cut the government, that they didn't protect them? How much slack do you think?
Sorry, Osama, and you just brought something to me. And we still need to bring back former President Muhammadu Buhari, Leah Sharibu.
Yeah.
I'm pained. That girl, whatever has happened to her.
Yeah.
The federal government negotiated under President Muhammadu Buhari, got every other person released, except Leah Sharibu.
I mean, that one, of course, would always be a stain in Nigeria's history, but I'm just focusing really on, because we need to go, I'm focusing on those who say, give them some time. Every life that is lost in the next 24 hours would never be gotten back. So you can tell the family member will give them some time. What do you mean by give them some time?
People who are saying, let's give them some slack. If
They
they
give us a time
had
frame.
lost one, give us a time frame.
If you lost a family member.
If you lost a family member or a member of your family was kidnapped, such that you had to sell everything that you have to get them out. And even in the process of selling everything, you still lost them.
Yeah.
Would you say give the government
what slack are you going to cut?
So I feel like a lot of us speak
very
from
insensitive.
our own quote-unquote
Comfort zone.
selfish perspective.
And
We're not-
comfort zone.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Please, a quick one for me. I think the APC didn't do itself any good by picking the governor of Imo State to head the committee to...
I mean,
State.
but I asked this one. I was hoping Uzodinma doing it.
Because I don't think anything has to do with Hope Uzodinma is going to be embraced by any Nigerian.
Especially seeing how the elections in Imo State
The
went.
plan that will be seen as anything, that has integrity on it. This is not me casting aspersion on him, but
Yeah.
the judgment of the Supreme Court, how the person that came third became first, and
how he's being referred to as Supreme Court governor.
Right, we need to go.
Anyway.
Dame Isaka, thank you very much for stopping by,
You're
as
welcome.
always. Interested in hearing your views. And of course, for those who called from different parts of the
Thank
country, in Abuja, and of course, in Delta State and Lagos here, thank you very much for your time and for your contribution. We appreciate them, regardless of what views you have. We appreciate them all the time.
We all love Nigeria.
Yeah,
At the end of the
absolutely.
day, yes, we all want the best for Nigeria.
We'll see you again tomorrow on the newspaper headlines. But of course, right next, we're moving into other conversations with a focus on Edo State right next. The crisis trailing Saturday's primary elections of the All Progressive Congress in Edo State has deepened with the emergence of triplets. 3 candidates laying claim to the party's ticket for the governorship election scheduled for September 21st, 2024. Anameo Sunday Dekeri was on Saturday night declared the winner of the primary election, bringing the number of candidates who emerged from the primary to 3.
Recall that Imo State Governor Hope Uzodinma, chairman of the Governorship Primary Committee, and Ugwaja Stanley Uzuamaka, the returning officer, had earlier declared Honorable Dennis Idahosa and Senator Monday Okpebholo as the candidates of the party for the election, respectively, while Uzodinma declared Idahosa winner at Protea Hotel, Benin City, with 40,453 votes, as against 100 votes for Monday Okpebholo. Uzuamaka, the returning officer, declared Okpebholo winner at Pastor Sage Izeyamu's residence with 12,145 votes as against 5,536 votes for Idahosa.
However, Mr. Ojo Babatunde, the spokesman of the local government returning officers on Saturday night, declared Honorable Anameo Sunday Dekeri winner of the primary election with 25,384 votes, defeating his closest rival, Idahosa, who polled 14,127 votes. Our correspondent, of course, Bernard Ikede, is live for us in Edo State, where the drama seems to be happening. Bernard, a primary election that gave birth to triplets, what occurred? I also saw that there was some level of violence. Share with us, how Saturday turned out.
Osaugi, I don't think you would have put it better. Definitely, like you said, primary elections that gave birth to triplets. It's quite surprising, First, we had a winner, and then secondly, we had another winner declared by Senator Hope Uzodinma, who's also the governor of Imo State. And now we're having a third winner who's been announced, Dekere. We got to hear that yesterday. And as a matter of fact, I got some filtered information this morning that there might be a fourth announcement. So let's not just say that the deliveries are concluded yet. But the unfortunate thing now is it's getting really confusing for the All Progressives Congress, and of course this is not healthy for their party. I'll quickly try and do a recap of how it all happened. Now, as journalists, we get to spread information to other press members in town, and we got the information that the results were going to be announced at about 2-3 p.m., and we got to the venue where it was supposed to happen. That's some hotel in Edo State. We got there, and the first thing that was off for me was the fact that this announcement was to be made in the bar of the hotel. An extremely small space, like you have in those images that you saw there. We hardly had space for our cameras, to stand. But it was very, very convincing at some point, because basically you could see somebody who claimed to be INEC returning officer. You could see a banner at the back that was talking about location for the announcement for the APC primaries in Edo State for the state, right? Not even the local governments, for the state. And then there was a gentleman there who was also conducting the announcements. Of course, with other press officials there, it looked quite convincing. And anyway, the announcement started, and 9 out of the, I believe, 18 local governments were announced. There was a winner for 7, and then another winner for 2 of the local governments. And then we went on recess, and it was during the recess that the Commissioner of Police came in, and that was where the drama actually began. He came in and began to ask questions from the police officers who were on ground, who invited you here, and things like that. And then just before we could say anything, some gentlemen came in, and it was mayhem all the way through. Scattered press equipment, began to assault some journalists, took some equipment, destroyed them. Some of ours were also destroyed as well. Our camera operator and some other people had to seek refuge in the bathroom. I had to run. But it didn't end there. More people came, and that's when the assault also continued. They were punching some journalists. I received some myself.
Oh, wow.
We all had to, scamper away for safety, basically. And it was later that night that Senator Hope Uzodimma made his own announcement, stating that whatever happened initially was not official from the party. But it was very convincing, and that's why we all were there. Only for us to hear now that a third candidate has been announced. Again, this is clearly not good for the APC. That's like an abridged version of all that happened on Saturday. So our eyes are still open and our ears are to the ground to see and to hear what next from the All Progressives Congress in Edo State.
Yeah. Well, is there any details as to why they had these conflicting numbers? One area is having 40,000 votes, another is having 25,000, another is having 12,000. Just different numbers, different locations, different results. Have they been able to, give any explanation as to why, there's various votes for various candidates in different locations? Why Hope Uzodimma is the one declaring a winner of an election when he's not the returning officer for INEC?
I think that's where the whole controversy stands. He's not the returning officer. His position, I think, is the chairman for the APC primaries in Edo State, if I'm not mistaken, something of that sort. But it just clearly shows that there's some. They still have some scores to settle within the party, basically, if I'm to put it that way. There are certain people or certain persons who are not happy with the fact that Senator Hope Uzodimma is the one declaring the announcements. There are certain persons who believe that a certain candidate from a certain area should be the one flying the flag in the next election. We have Edo North, Edo Central, Edo South. And to the best of my knowledge, I learned that it's been, how do I say it now? Now, the flag bearer shifts from one location to the other for each election. A particular group are hoping that their own zone would be the one bringing forth the flag bearer, while another is saying, well, you've had a governor from this zone before, you've had a deputy governor from this zone before, let him move to another zone. But if that's the case, where then is the place of democracy, where everybody should be allowed to cast their vote, and then the winner should emerge and represent the people? So I think that's where the whole challenge, and that's where the twist in this very interesting tale is at the moment. Some people are claiming that a candidate is being imposed upon them, and that's not who they want. So, it's looking like this drama is still not over just yet.
Well, the arguments for and against zoning are unending. There'll be more of that, I'm sure. But Bernard, I'm hoping that you're okay. From what you said, you received some slaps as well. Journalists, the safety of journalists in the forthcoming elections. We hear that the PDP primaries are coming up on Thursday. Are there fears that would see maybe a repeat or a similar incident to what has happened? And how important is it for us at this point to highlight yet again the safety, the security of journalists as the members of the fourth estate of the realm?
Olivia, right. We cannot overemphasize the fact that journalists' safety and security is of utmost importance and priority in anything we do and anywhere we go. I think we still need to get it right in this part of the world because for no reason should journalists be attacked for no reason. We didn't go there on our own, for no reason. We went there because there was news to be broadcast and we had to go live like every other broadcast station. So whatever it is that happened, whatever grievances that these people, party members, supporters may have had, they should know that it's not from the journalists. I understand that they went there to disrupt whatever activities were going on because they believe or they felt that those were not the authentic results being read. However, I also believe that the appropriate officials could have done that, could have gone there to do that themselves. I mean, officers of the Nigerian police could have been mobilized to go to our location then and to stop whatever live broadcast was going on if they were sure that what was going on there was not authentic and was not legal. Rather than having thugs and, people who we do not know just come there and hurt journalists, destroy equipment worth millions of naira. This is, of course, is a serious cause for concern. Remember that this is just the primaries of one of the parties. You clearly did state that the People's Democratic Party are having their own primaries on Thursday. We will be there. We're hoping that everything will be safe for us and for every other journalist who is going there. Freedom of information is important, and the media is as they call it, the third arm of government. We are the fourth, I beg your pardon. And we are the ones who are the gatekeepers. If we're not there to pass on information, we're leaving information for every and anybody else to push around. And of course, there'll be fake news being peddled around. So we definitely require and demand safety and security in doing our own jobs. But again, having said that, the PDP will be running their own primaries on Thursday. We are building up stories towards that, trying to see who the candidates are, what they've been doing, what they intend to do. And then on Thursday, we hope to be on ground as well. Again, we do hope and pray that adequate security be granted to us, as should be, so that we can tell authentic stories as they should be told and pass on information to the people who need them.
Tell us about the people of Edo State. If you've interacted with any of them, what are their thoughts on how Saturday played out with the APC's primaries? Did you speak with any of the people who took part in the elections? Have you spoken with any other persons on ground?
Well, before the election, actually, we spoke to certain people. We were in Benin. We moved to Edo North, around Auchi area also. And we moved around a little bit. Before the elections, people were just hoping and praying that the best candidates emerges from all the parties who are running their primaries, so that on the day of the election, I think it's in September, they'll be able to pick the best out of the best. But of course, there also are those who are still aggrieved with the general state of not just the state, but the nation, and complaining that they do not care to vote. They just want things to get better so they can afford to feed their families and live better lives. Now, following the election, a few people we spoke to yesterday, people are concerned, of course. They're saying that, well, first of all, there are those who believe that whether it's PDP or OPC, that they are one and the same. Politicians are politicians. They just want the right candidate to come in and to have the best interest of the people at heart. But concerning the drama that's going on, of course, there are others who also believe that the APC needs to tidy their house if at all they want to have a chance at the governorship elections come September. Because, of course, a house that is divided upon itself cannot contest against others. Let's not forget that the People's Democratic Party is the ruling party here in the state. So if any other party, I beg your pardon, is willing or attempting to challenge the PDP, which looks very strong in the state, then they'll need to get their acts together. Basically, that's a word on the street. But of course, there's also, gist and rumors going around concerning how the whole thing went, that the leadership of the APC is trying to impose certain persons on them while the people themselves want somebody else. And that's, probably what's causing some of this drama. But again, this is just, as we call it, beer apologist or rumor going around town.
Yeah, we'll see, if this eventually goes to court, and how all of these things are settled. Bernard, thank you very much. Remember to stay safe. Say hi to my fellow Bini people.
Please stay safe. We don't want to hear any more slaps have been received.
I know a person who can fight, just in case. Just in case you need a guy. Just in case you need a guy, let me know.
You are the guy.
No.
Oh, please, I'd like to ask, how big and how tall is this guy? Because the guy who accosted me, if you know Lawal Sharif, it's about his height and size.
Wow.
Well, I have other means of, protection in those states. Don't worry, I got you. All right?
Oh, yeah.
I'll keep my line open. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Bernard. Talk soon. All right. We've had a very, very interesting Monday. Thank you very much for being with us all through. It's time for us to say goodbye. And of course, remember, we're going to be back here again tomorrow morning. To all those who called and were part of the conversations this morning, thank you very much. Join us, of course, on our social media platforms. If you can put a call across, tweet at News Central TV. Let us know your thoughts on these stories. We, of course, wish you a beautiful Monday ahead. I am Osaogie Ogbawa.
I am Olive Emwadi, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.